Corona is one of the most important diseases today. Thousands of people died and millions of people infected and still getting infected. Unfortunately, our country also got its share. 3,091,282 of people are infected and 30,462 of them died. This is basically what we are going to talk about tonight. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, we are doing a debate about the precautions against corona and their effect in our education, economy, and health. White team, which claims that we should close all the schools and businesses and make everyone stay at home. Green team claims that we should open all the schools and businesses and let everything be as it was before corona. Now, it's time to give a start. Fatma Zehra, you, as a member of White Team, claim that the schools should be closed. How do you think this will affect the education in our country? We'd like to hear your opinions about this matter.
The COVID-19 pandemic took the world by storm. Globally, everything has stopped. Projects have been delayed, workplaces closed, and schools shut down. Especially for schools, if we did the opposite, number of cases would increase rapidly and the virus would spread inevitably since students would keep in touch with each other, teachers, their parents, relatives, and many other people who are going to school or on the way to their houses. It's obvious that students cannot self-isolate themselves under these circumstances. In addition, it's not just students that we need to worry about. Plenty of adults work in schools, teachers, janitors, food preparation workers, and more. They're all being put at risk by keeping schools open. Arguably, they're more at risk than many other workers at businesses that have already been shut down. Closing schools can make a big difference in flattening the curve. Evidence from past epidemics shows. A study in Nature in 2006 that modeled an influenza outbreak found that closing schools during the peak of a pandemic could reduce the peak attack rate or speed of spread by 40%. Another study in 2016 in BMC infectious diseases found that, based on the H1N1 pandemic of 2009, closing schools could reduce the attack rate up to 25% and the peak weekly incidence or rate of new cases by more than 50%. All in all, as White Team, we strongly support the idea to close all the schools have to make sacrifices. If we don't, we cannot prevent the spread of pandemic and we won't be able to go back to our normal life. Human life is a thing that progresses between life and death, and once lost, it's irreparable. So stay home, be safe, save lives.
Thank you, Fatma Zehra. Now, I'd like to turn to Alptu and ask the same questions to him. You heard what White Team thinks about education. What is your opinion about this issue?
Should schools be opened? This is a subject that we constantly ponder over recently. Sadly, there is no great decision about schools reopening. But if we take necessary precautions, we can minimize the risk of virus spreading. If we give an example of the necessary precautions that I mentioned, wearing masks during the time we spent in school, paying attention to social distance. These are the basic rules we have to obey during the pandemic. Instead of reopening all schools at the same time, local and economic situations of the school should be evaluated and open regionally. There are rules that we must follow during the school reopening period. We have to keep at least 1 meter social distance in school. Also, the gap between desks have to be 1 meter or more. Breaks should be longer and classes should be ventilated during each break. We should limit mixing of classes for after-school activities. For example, classes can use different entrances to building, or they can set up a program for entrance and exit of the classes. We should change start and ending times and organize the school days gradually in order to prevent all students and teachers from being together at the same time. If possible, increase the number of teachers to allow fewer students per class. To maintain a distance of 1 meter at queue around the entrances, we can use ground signs, tapes, barriers, and other tools. If possible, we should do classes outside or ventilate classes as much as possible. We should warn students about not gather and socialize in groups when they leave the school. If the school setting has limited access to running water or soap, use a hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol. We should encourage students to practice regularly washing their hands or use a hand sanitizer at crucial moments, such as entering and leaving the classroom. Courses should be given to train teacher and staff what to do if symptoms seen in any student. Conferences can be organized to provide students reliable information about COVID-19. There are lots of benefits of reopening school, such as providing social and psychological well-being to students, benefit to society such as allowing parents to work, reducing the risk of non-return to school, access reliable information on how to keep themselves and others safe, essential services, access to nutrition and child welfare, such as preventing violence against children. And if you talk about online education, firstly, most of the families and schools can't provide enough technological support to students. And online education brings along some problems. For example, lesson efficiency is decreasing due to the technological difficulties and problems. Because of this, students are missing their chances to learn.
Another important issue that is affecting our further degrees in economy. Mete Alper, could you please let us know the opinion of your team? Don't you think the economy will go down if you close all the businesses?
The pandemic severely affected the world economies and resulted in the downsizing of businesses, people losing their jobs, and an increase in household expenditures. These resulted in a decrease in consumption and encouraged people to save and hold money. All of these played a significant role in the economic recession. However, that doesn't mean these couldn't be overcome with proper measures. Even though it may seem inefficient to shut down schools and to continue teaching online, it actually helps schools to reduce their expenses a lot, since they would require less personnel working in the office. Also, the states should support the labor losing their jobs with a program including financial aid, as in the US and the EU. In order to mitigate the impact of the shutdown of businesses and schools, working from home and remote education should be implemented by more companies and institutions, since they minimize the chance of propagation and also the cost of business operations. Working from home has its own benefits, since people save time instead of commuting to work every day. Moreover, people working remotely realize that they could do the same amount of work just as working at the office before the pandemic. It is safe to say that means and opportunities brought by the digital era allow us to continue our education and professional lives online. This is the chance that has never been seen before for many people. As a result, as the White Team, we strongly support the idea to close all the schools, stay home, and save lives.
Dear Azra Senay, what would you like to say about Mete Alper's comments? What do you think as a member of Green Team? What will change if we open all the businesses as you say?
If the prolongation of the current and ongoing pandemic, Turkey's economy will begin to stumble and even fall because of budget defect. Economic stagnation is the situation felt by every income level in recent years. Moreover, the unemployment rate is increasing day by day. Many tradesmen had to close their premises as they could not pay their debts during this period, and they took out large loans to pay their debts.
To be realistic, a substantial majority of the population of Turkey low income or insufficient according to living conditions. In this case, a utopian restraint is unthinkable. One of the most important economic resources of the Turkey is tourism. Tourism wounded by pandemic. Domestic and international money flow almost stopped. This is unacceptable for Turkey, which already during the economic recession. Normalization is possible when a correct policy is applied, and it's necessary in our case. I mean, the economy is not static and stable structure. It must be constantly in circulation so that countries can operate. To explain the situation, the loss in the last 1 month is exactly 4,675 billion Turkish liras. Well, didn't this extraordinary period of quarantine get enough from us?
And now, our last topic is health. In this period of our lives, I'm sure we all realize that how important health is. Melissa, what do you think about it as a member of White Team? What should we do? How will closing everywhere affect our health?
As we have all witnessed, unfortunately, the pandemic all around the world affected everything such as health, education, economy, so on, so forth. This breakout clearly let us see that health is the most essential thing in our life. We cannot thank the doctors, nurses, in general, all hospital staffs who have been fighting with corona for a long time. They disregarded their lives and did their best, and it is up to us to support them more than ever. Since the pandemic started, thanks to technology, distance education has been conducted throughout the world and it has been really effective. Students have been attending their lessons, seminars, activities, even games by using technology. By this way, they not only maintain their education but also keep themselves safe from COVID. All in all, as the White Team, we strongly support the idea to close all the schools and continue to attend our lessons from home, because if we don't, as we have all seen, when we open schools, number of cases will continue to increase inevitably, and not only our lives but also healthcare professionals will be in danger. And finally, stay home, be safe, and don't give up studying up.
Thank you for your speech, Melissa. And Dila, you heard what Melissa said. How do you think about these precautions affect our health? What effect will it have on our health to open places and decrease precautions?
First of all, I would like to start with a saying of Charles Darwin. It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to change. So it's a fact that we are having difficult and troublesome times, but we are not the first human facing with these problems. Throughout the history, there have been a lot of pandemics, disasters, and big problems in the world. And we can easily see that humanity still exists. So this means whether we close or open the doors, if we will follow the rules, we will survive. For the last 12 months, we have locked down people. Have the results changed? The number says a big no. Even day by the day, numbers of infected people are rising. Besides that, although we close the cafes and schools, people continue to go to each other's houses. They don't wear masks. Even if they do, they lower them under their chin. They don't pay attention to their personal hygiene. Furthermore, they reject being vaccinated. When we compare the number of the health staff to the world population, it's like a dust in the air. Since you cannot give each person a doctor, it is much more better to educate everyone to protect themselves. Plus, scientists say that we have to learn to live with coronavirus and its versions. Let's consider psychological results of pandemics. Sitting at home and waiting to be infected or not is not a human behavior. The government should let shops, schools, cafes and social areas open so that people can live like a human. We are not animals in the zoo or plants in the flower pot. To sum up, today, maybe tomorrow, we will face with many types of viruses and illnesses. So which one do you prefer? Sitting at home and live like a prisoner? Or living in the public, live like a normal person? Let's learn, adapt, and be human. Have a normal life again.
Now, it's time to decide. We listened to all members of green and white teams. It's jury's turn now.
According to our decision, to the criteria that is mentioned, the winner is Green Team.